to the actual tools, how can you actually go make a difference? Everything on a project site, once you've planned it properly, starts with team health. So having a good balance and a blend. The fact of the matter is that if you're in construction, you've got to have an understanding spouse, an understanding partner. You have got to have an understanding family. And you have got to team and partner with your family at home for this to work. This is not a 9-to-5 job that's easy to manage. There has got to be a high level of communication because construction on average is about 45 to 55 hours worth of work commitment. I am doing myself with you everything I can to get that to 50, 45 hours. But the fact of the matter is we are in a very intense industry. So if it doesn't work for your family, think about this. Is there something that you need to do, decisions you need to make if it doesn't? If you're in construction, let's go ahead and figure out how we can do it better. So here's a quote. Everything starts with team balance. Improvement, customer satisfaction, operational control, profitability, safety, they all have their start in the balance and health of the team. Everything we do starts with first who, then what. If you want to start a business, first who, then what. If you want to build a project, it's first who, then what. So if you're going to go start your week, you'd better darn well make sure that you have a balanced team that's ready to execute that work that week first. On the Elevate Construction Podcast, on episode 40, you will see a series of 10 episodes that talk about how to organize your team in this manner. Here are some principles. First, team coverage is essential to having a work-life balance. If you have a superintendent, if you have a PM, if you have PEs, if you have field engineers, in order for them to go to their doctor's appointments, in order for them to go, to Johnny's baseball game or to go to date night or to have a balance in their life, it must come from having coverage. Meaning if I'm a superintendent supervising a site, I will not go to my doctor's appointment if I don't know that somebody's covering for me. The other thing is team coverage must be intentional. It will not happen naturally. There's zero chance that on your construction project, in your department, in your company, on your leadership team, anywhere, ever, anywhere in work and in life, it will never happen that people will naturally go home on time and take care of themselves and their family. So if you want to have a good work-life balance, you have to be that project manager or that department leader that will actually make sure that coverage is happening intentionally, because it will never happen naturally. Third, effective team meetings with good attendance and a natural agenda are essential to making it natural and to making it intentional and to making sure that it happens. And the last thing that I want to say is a day plan. That means all workers on site, all foremen on site, all supers on site can see the plan for the job that day. A day plan that is visual, that comes from a daily huddle with the foreman, is key to ensuring folks scheduled to cover work for you can cover work. People will not cover unless they know that somebody's going to cover for them. So let's go into the next slide, which is the team meeting agenda. Hopefully every construction project, every department has a team meeting. And if you do, I hope that as a part of your presentation, one of the first things you cover is who's on PTO and who needs coverage for their role. If you do not literally force people to take PTO, they're not going to take it. How many superintendents, project managers, field engineers, project engineers take their PTO religiously every year and don't have a carryover? The second thing is, even aside from PTO, if there's doctor's appointments, coverage, date night, Johnny's baseball game, a wedding that you got to go to, the second thing on your team meeting agenda every week you should discuss is coverage. And the third thing is, hopefully on your project and in your department, you have no meeting days where at least once or twice in a week, your team can literally produce and focus without distraction. Once these three things are covered intentionally, you'll be on your way. Then you can talk about customer experience, quality, schedule, safety, cost, all of the other things. But we must first make sure that that team is balanced and stable as one of our number one priorities on the project site. And so when you run these meetings and you are trying to implement this, here's what I would recommend. There's a really great book called Death by Meeting. If you want to know how to run great meetings, this book is going to hook you up. In fact, everything we do at Elevate Construction, we align with this meeting system. Here's how they do it. Every meeting, you do what's called a lightning round, where you go around the table and everybody has about 30 seconds to give a quick update and to put things on the agenda for that meeting. Then everybody goes through a scoreboard review, and then you start going through tactical items. Anything that's too big to discuss in that meeting goes into the potential strategic topics category. When we're done with the meeting, we write down our decisions and anything that we want to cascade to the project or the organization. As a part of your tactical agenda items, you've got to have PTO coverage and no meeting days in there if you're ever going to live a work-life balance. And the PM and the super have to care about this. In those meetings, I really like to use what's called the team coverage schedule. So this right here, in here, what you can do, you can say, hey, John is the superintendent. On Mondays, he or she comes in and leaves, like, let's say at 5 o'clock. Okay, Tuesday, John's already talked to his family. Tuesday is that morning where he needs to go to Lamaze classes with his spouse, right? Men and women both work in construction. I'm just using John as an example, right? So he's going to come in that day late, but he can stay as late as anybody needs him to. The next day, he's got the normal schedule, but on Wednesdays, he likes to go attend baseball games, so that's his preferred schedule. Thursday, his family has said, hey, I don't care when you go to work and I don't care when you come home. We've got activities. The kids aren't home anyway. Mom is doing business coaching classes. You can stay at work as long as you want. And then John on Friday has a normal schedule. Now we have mapped out John's schedule for that week. Let's say Susan is the project manager and leading the project, and she says, hey, this is my schedule. I come in at around 7 o'clock and I work as late as I possibly can that day. And so I can cover that day, right? On Tuesday, I can come in a little bit early, but I need to go home. On Wednesday, I can work late because my family doesn't need me. But on Thursday, I've got a standing date night at 3 p.m. And on Friday, I really would like to work a decent day. So what is the pattern that we're starting to see? We're starting to see that, hey, the project manager can cover on Mondays. The superintendent, John, can cover on Tuesdays. And we don't have to just leave it to one person throughout the week to cover everything. We can, as a team, have a balance. And you're probably saying to yourself, hey, Jason, this is great, but on my project, I'm by myself. Let me push back just a little bit on that. On these days, let's say that if you are on a project where you're by yourself, let's say that you need Wednesday to go home. Do you have an internal company, general foreman or general carpenter foreman or assistant that can sub for you? Can the project manager that's typically not on the project sub for you on Wednesdays and actually be on site that day, and you just synchronize it with your OAC meetings? There are many things that you can do to get coverage. The point is, go home and talk to your family, for everybody on the project site or in your department. Find out what days you need to be home, right? Like these days right here. Find out what days you can be late, and then you'll start to see how you as a project team can cover for each other and show up. This has worked every single time I have implemented it with a project team, every single time. So up here on the top, you have your coverage plan on a weekly basis. And then down here, yep, you guessed it, you can plug in your PTO. Now, this signage, these templates are always available for you. So having coverage with your team is crucial. You're never going to get home if you don't manage this as a team. Okay, the other thing that I want to talk about is the meeting system. For a typical representative $100 million project, typically you'll have your team weekly tactical. It doesn't matter when you have it, as long as you have it. But that team weekly tactical is where you will plan your coverage. Then you have what's called the strategic planning and procurement meeting, where the PM and the super are managing the overall master schedule and the procurement. You have your trade partner weekly tactical, where you do your look ahead planning and your weekly work planning, your daily foreman huddles, and then every morning where you communicate in one massive huddle for 5 or 10 minutes the plan for the day for the workers. And then you remove roadblocks as a team. So this is a really nice meeting system, and this is how it flows. If you have a team that can cover the project, you do your overall planning for the job, your look-ahead planning and your weekly work planning, your day planning with your foreman, that gets communicated to the workers. That is how you scale planning all the way to the project team. And here's my point. This is why I showed you. A superintendent will not leave the job and go to a doctor's appointment if there isn't a day plan that shows how that individual or the team can cover for the next day. Meaning the planning for that day on a daily basis must be visual and communicate it to everyone, or else the super, the PM, and sometimes your assistant supers and field engineers will not leave the site because they know whoever is covering for them does not know the plan. So we have to fix that. So in your planning methods, everybody has learned about full planning. Full plans get looped back into your master schedule. From your master schedule, you do your look-ahead planning. From your look-ahead planning, you do your weekly work planning. And then that should become a day plan. This is what I'm showing you down here at the bottom. Every single day, anyone on that project team should be able to come in to your project and see, oh, okay, this is the safety focus. These are permits that are happening. These are the key deliveries and where they're going. This is the training that's happening. This is the plan that's taking place, the weather. You should be able to see all of these things at a glance. And this is typically what a format or huddle board out in the field would look like, right? You have your schedule, you have your zone maps, you have any pertinent information, you have the agenda over here to the right. Essentially, we need the schedule, the site logistics, and every day that superintendent or whoever's leading the project should have given shout outs, received feedback, and everyone on the project should know the safety focus, the permits, the deliveries, any training that's necessary, the plan for the day, and the weather. When you have that, the PM is going to cover for the super, they'll actually go home. Or the PE is going to cover for the super because they know the plan, he or she will actually go home. Without a plan for the day, people will not allow others to cover for them because they know others don't know the plan. So this is crucial. A lot of times with our clients, we have QR codes that everybody on the project site has access to where they have the weekly work plan and the day plan, the zone maps, any key handoffs for the week, and the core values and any other pertinent information at a glance. So the point is, in your foreman huddles, when you actually sit down with the trade partners to plan the next day, the question is, can everybody, including all the workers the next day, follow that plan? If the answer is no, then you cannot have proper coverage on that project site. And so I want to say, if you're curious about how to build proper teams, and you're like, Jason, I like this, I want to see it in action, there's a book called Elevating Construction Senior Superintendent, Book 1. This has inside of it everything that I've talked about and everything that I know of that's needed for a project manager or superintendent to build the team and to create team balance so that the individual can be organized themselves. If you want some other references, there's 3 other books that I'd like to give you. The Wisdom of Teams, Team of Teams, and the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. If you're a PM, a super, and you want to start building your team and getting capacity and changing things for yourself and your group, I highly recommend these books. I have, in Elevating Construction Senior Superintendent, I've read I'm not even exaggerating, 25 different key books and taken multiple trainings and distilled all of that information into one source for everybody in the industry. And for you now on this call, please just order on Amazon. It's only $28. And it's also free on the Elevate Construction podcast on episode 601. So in summary, I just want to say that the way you start to have a balance is that you have to start as a team, covering for each other for your PTO and for any time that you need to be with your family. It all comes down to the conversations that you have with your families, and in team meetings, holding each other accountable and making sure that people actually leave. And the only way people will leave is if you can see the plan for the day so that whoever's covering can actually cover with confidence and the person that's leaving can have confidence in that individual. Without that, it will not happen. If you want to learn more, please check out the book Elevating Construction Senior Superintendent.